Hey, my name is Melinda Russell, and I am obsessed with telling the stories of women involved in motorsports, young and older, from all walks of life, currently involved in a wide range of roles or sharing their stories from the past. I'm a wife, mother of 4 adult children, and a mama of 16. In 2017, I was searching social media for a group dedicated to women in motorsports. When I didn't find what I was looking for, I posted a message to a few racing pages to see if any women would like to connect with me. And now I have thousands of women and men who are part of the Women's Motorsports Network. As crew chief of the only media company dedicated to women in motorsports, I work from wherever my travels take me, publishing this podcast, the Women's Motorsports Network News online magazine, and Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show. You will hear from women who share their stories from the grid of life, how they manage the messy and memorable moments of family, work, and racing. You will hear their tried and true secrets of success, and many other topics like friendships, family, hardships, and heroes that women deal with to balance the seasons of life. So grab your favorite beverage, pull up a seat, make sure you are comfy, and get ready to be inspired and encouraged from the stories on the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Women's Motorsports Network podcast. I'm very excited today to have a friend of mine as a guest. Kelly and I met several years ago. I'm not even sure how many now, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say.
I think so.
Yeah. And we have seen each other on and off then, but we follow each other on social media. So I can't say that I don't know what she's up to, because I do. And then we also help promote her in our magazine. So I want you to know more about Kelly and her business. I want people who read the magazine to support our supporters. And Kelly's been a friend, and I've watched her business grow. And so I wanted to have her on the podcast today just to kind of share what she's been doing, how she got started, and how maybe you can use her product or share what she has. And so, Kelly, before we go any farther, I want to just welcome you to the show. And I want you to just start, why don't you, about telling us a little bit about yourself, where you live, your family, your pets, anything that you want to share.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yes, I do believe it's been at least 4 years since we've met, Melinda. So it's been, a blink of an eye, really, when you think about how quickly time goes by. But so my name is kelly.franko. I am from Courtland, Ohio, which is on the border of Pennsylvania. We're right in between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So it's always funny to say, well, I shouldn't say always funny, but people either know the area or they don't know the area. And when people know the area, Youngstown was once pretty well known for being a mob town. And I always find it funny to hear the stories of, oh, you're from Youngstown. And it's like, well, not really. But so anyhow, I am married with 2 adult sons and a very mischievous dog who I'm praying does his best behavior while we're on our call today.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And so how did you get introduced to motorsports? Because I know that's where your business started. So why don't you just kind of give us your backstory a little bit?
So I did marry a racing enthusiast. My husband has been involved in drag racing since he was 14, I believe. And we've been together 27 years. So when I first started hanging around him, it was very obvious I was going to need to like motorsports. And then once I started going to the track with him and stuff, it was very obvious I needed to drive myself. So I asked, which of your cars do I get to drive? And it was fun because he coached me very well and taught me all about the staging and everything. And then I used to have fun because I just would run street class, and I had a fast street car of his. So everybody would see the girl at the starting line, kind of roll their eyes, and then I would blow past them. And then I just loved getting out. And I'm like, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
And that's really, has always been my love of motorsports came from that, and just the thrill of being able to drive somewhat myself. And then we do have 2 boys. Our oldest son has the same racing bug as my husband, and he's been racing since he was 13. And we actually found ourselves at PRI back, it was December of 2018, really because he was looking to get more into professional driving. And so we're like, well, let's go check this, check out what happens at PRI and see what we can learn. And I sat in on one of you were speaking at that, and that's how we met. So anyway, it was also then I had done, so to back up just a little bit, my background's healthcare. I've been involved in the post-mastectomy world with helping women who survive breast cancer get products that they need for whether it be prosthetics or undergarments or post-surgery. And then at that particular show, I was chatting at Lincoln Electric's booth. I had done a fitting I guess I got to back up a minute. From the post-mastectomy, then I opened retail boutiques, and we just did everyday bras, specializing in sports bras. I had fit a Top Fuel driver via Skype in a sports bra, and we wanted to meet at PRI. And it was at Lincoln Electric's booth. And so she's going on about how great the bra is without saying the word bra. And the one gentleman that we know says, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I said, I don't know, I do bras. And he was like, oh my gosh, can you make a flame resistant bra? And my husband, he goes, yes, she can. And I guess I was still just kind of trying to figure out why things didn't already exist. That's when this whole conversation got brought up about, not only in motorsports, but on the industrial side of things too, there really are not options for women. And so that set me down the path to figure that out.
Pretty much got you to where you are today, didn't it?
It did. And it's been quite the journey. It's like when we talked a little earlier about when you are in the moment, you don't see how things are moving forward. But now that I look back, as soon as that question was asked, everything that had been part of my path so far came together so that I knew exactly the design, I knew the fit, I knew the style, I knew how that whole bra needed to come together to be a real solution and not just, I'll call it a crop top, because some of the options that have been out there and are no longer available were not really put together to be functional. It was just to be able to say that there was something. So, and that really helped me actually, because again, I knew where I wanted to go with the product. I just needed to investigate and do some research on fabrics because I wasn't familiar with flame resistant fabric. I was actually at a women's forum at Chevron's headquarters in Houston, and I had just a prototype when another manufacturer had said to me, that's really cute. And then he says to me, you can keep doing that because there's not enough women for us to care about. And I was like, that's it. I was shocked. I'm like, first of all, thank you for the permission to be able to do what I'm doing. And second, how do you say there's not enough women to care about? I'm like, you're talking about people's mothers, people's sisters, daughters. I'm like, how do you say there's not enough women to care about?
Right.
And then even though he was obnoxious, he did tell me that the fabric I was using would work well for arc flash and flash fires, but it wouldn't work well for duration fire or molten metal. And I'm like, okay, thank you for that, because at least you gave me information to go on to go find a better fabric. And now I think it's interesting because we utilize Carbonex fabric, which was actually started because of motorsports. It was designed for motorsports. So it kind of came full circle that way. But, looking back at, go ahead.
And so when you were researching all these fabrics and that, I mean, was that a long process to figure all that out, or was it something that, since you had all this background and experience doing all these other things, did it go fairly quickly for you then to go from your idea, what you wanted to do? How long did it take to get the first product like really ready to go?
Surprisingly, it actually took quite a bit of time, because I was clueless in how flame resistant fabric works, and how all of that works. At first, here's my thought: I can make a bra and dip it in something, right, and it'll make it flame resistant. No, that doesn't work. So, but I didn't know, so I started just reaching out, and then I tell people this journey has really been what I call serendipitous, because as I progressed through, people showed up at the time that I needed to learn something else. And so for the fabric piece of it, I found myself at an event where I had an opportunity to speak with a lady from DuPont who took time to sit down and explain to me, this is knit, this is woven, this is this, and these are chemically treated fabrics. And then there are inherently flame resistant fabrics. And so, because I didn't even, there's just so much to the world of fabric. And I think the easiest way for me to explain how things in the fabric world are is if you compare it to like when you make a mixed drink. It's maybe you have some rum, or maybe you have some vodka, some cranberry juice, whatever you might put together to make that drink. Fabric is very similar. And this is just stuff I've learned, in that if you need it to be flame resistant, then you have a flame resistant thread or fiber, then you have an odor resistant fiber, then you have a moisture wicking fiber. And like the drink being poured together, you're just weaving it all together into the fabric, whether it's a woven fabric or a knit. And so once I figured out, it was knit that I was going after, and I wanted inherently flame resistant fabric, because the chemically treated fabric, when it's worn so close to our body, like right up against our body, your actual body heat is enough to cause it to off gas the chemical that is in the fabric. Sure. Mm-hmm. And so in working with ladies over at Procter & Gamble, they had shared that with me, that they tried another product that was a chemically treated product, and they threw them all out by noon, because they all had headaches, nausea, they had dizziness, just because this chemical. And I've learned that it's generally a chloride that's used, which off gases ammonia, or it can actually be a derivative of cyanide. So It's like, yeah, you don't.
That would be really bad.
And aside from that, I guess coming from the healthcare background, it just makes me wonder, with our skin as our largest organ, what are we absorbing just wearing that next to skin with all of those chemicals and things? So, and there's a lot of studies with just even hormonal changes that the chemicals in clothing can do. So, yeah. So it took me probably at least 9 months to track down and uncover that Carbon X fabric, because Googling things, and trying to get to trade shows that have fabric manufacturers, trying to figure out which trade shows they're at, when you don't know really what you're looking for, it takes some time. So the design piece was much quicker than the bringing it all together with the fabric part of it.
So how did you find the fabrics that you use? And tell us a little bit about those.
So the Carbon X, actually, when that gentleman at that Chevron event, when he made that comment, he said something like Carbon X would be probably what you want. So then I found Carbon X's website, and they had an events page where to find them. And so there was a trade show that was going to be coming up, and I just got to that trade show. And when I found their booth, the one guy was standing there with this fabric draped over his hand, and in the other hand, he had a torch, and he's torching his hand. And I was like, oh, dear God. And he was like, oh, it's good. I can't feel this. And he's just torching it away. And I'm like, okay, but you're really making me kind of sick. So could you stop? Because it's just kind of hard to watch somebody, with an open torch burning but it didn't do anything. He could not, it wasn't penetrating the fabric, and he couldn't feel the heat on the other side. So then when I felt it, it's such a soft fabric that it is nice up against the skin. So the other thing when looking at making a bra, because it is up against sensitive skin as well, you've got to make sure that there's no rub. Like, you don't want any kind of a frictional rub, or you get this situation that occurs with a lot of times with male runners, marathon runners. You'll see like a bloody nipple from that shirt rubbing up and down. You've got to have a soft enough fabric that will not do that. And you need to have a design that stays up against the chest wall so that it doesn't allow gapping to occur and movement inside that cup, because that's that'll start causing some problems.
Are you a female in motorsports? GoFastGirls.com Apparel for the race enthusiast empowers women to fiercely pursue their dreams in action in motorsports, instilling them with confidence and unwavering determination. A Go Fast Girls empowers incredible speed, unwavering effort, and success. Go Fast Girls has emerged as a prominent force uniting women from all walks of life who share a passion for racing. Check us out at GoFastGirls.com today.
So once I found Carbonex, we just had a conversation about what options they had, what would work best. We do it's a double layer of their fabric to give, because it is a little bit thinner fabric. So we doubled it, which actually increases the amount of protection you have then, because you have 2 layers of that fabric between you and whatever the thermal hazard, the fire might be. So, but it is just a very soft, and then all of our components that we were able to, our threads, our elastics, we do have a hook and eye option for the bra. We have the traditional sports bra, which is the racer back, pull over your head. And then we have a sized bra that goes by traditional bra size and does hook in the back and have adjustable straps. All of that is made from FR rated components, so that it will not melt or burn when you're wearing it. And we do everything here in the United States, which I'm very proud of, because it's very challenging. That was another big challenge, was trying to find manufacturing, cut and sew. Like, I thought I was going to do it myself. I thought I would hire people to do the cut and sew. We'd have a facility, and that was the path I was going, but I couldn't find anybody that knew how to sew. It's such a dying art, and sewing knit requires special machines, because you can't do just a straight stitch. It'll pull through. It comes apart. So not only did you need someone that knew how to sew, I needed people that could cut knit, because if you cut it and it stretches it all, you don't get the shape that you cut. It's completely out of whack. So yeah, there's just a lot of skill, and I was like struggling. So I'm like, okay, now I need to just find people who already have this, type of skill, that they're already working with. I found a contract cut and sew. So I have sewing done in Cleveland, Michigan, and Utah right now. So
wow. So where are all those girls that took 4-H back in the day, or home ec? It was called home ec when I was in high school, and you had to sew and cook and do all those things. And then
I know.
Those are but that sewing is not, even to find somebody to mend or do whatever tailoring like that. It's usually someone that's done it forever, and they're mostly elderly. You don't really find any young people doing it. And so I can see where that would have been a challenge, but it wasn't something that I would have thought of. And so now you have outsourced that. And so tell them, we never did say, what's the name of your company? We better get that out there.
Yeah. Serafina Safety Apparel. And I used my son's graduation party as a testing ground for names. I wanted something that when you heard the name, it made you think it was something for women. And I wanted it to have some type of a connection to fire. for what we were doing. So my son's graduation party, as people arrived, I gave them a piece of paper that had a list of names on it and a pencil. And I said, you got to choose. And it had the instructions. And so I was really pulling for Serafina because it was my favorite and it is the one that won out. So Serafina is the female version of Seraphim, which are fiery angels and protectors. And then we did the dragon logo because they, of course, are fire breathing and they protect princesses in the castles. So I'm like, that's what we're doing. We're protecting all the girls. So
that's very cool. I like how you came upon the name. It makes way more sense after I hear you say that, because a lot of people wouldn't know the dragon I get, but a lot of people wouldn't know about the angels, and so that's pretty cool. I really like that name. So so how many years now have you been actually, I know you took you a while to get it going, but how many years have you been in business?
So we officially launched as a company in July of 21 is when we registered our name and everything. And then we have had product to market since March of 22. Okay. So just a little over a year and a half now. Yeah. So we've been actually having our product to market, and we started with the bra. So we actually have 2 different bra styles now. We have 2 different undergarments. We have a boy short and a sport brief. Then we also have the tank top. We have a short sleeve and a long sleeve shirt, and then leggings. So that's our core product offering right now.
Okay. So if I was a girl in motorsports, what of those items? I mean, honestly, I can think you could use almost any of those items if you were in motorsports, but you also go to trade shows and you also sell to lots of different kinds of industries. So it isn't just motorsports, but, let's talk about the importance of those products because, let's face it, there's dads, a lot of dads, no offense dads, but a lot of dads are the ones that get their kids involved in motorsports, right? So my granddaughter, when she was running quarter midgets, and she was probably, I want to say 9 years old, maybe, her quarter midget caught on fire and she was driving and it caught on fire behind her and she didn't even know it until all these adults came running out, and she was fine. She didn't have she was just fine. But that's not always how things turn out. And so explain to the parents who maybe are just getting started in racing or who don't really understand the importance. Yes, your fire suits are fire resistant somewhat, but what does your product do to make sure things are even more safe?
So the way I describe it is we're the last line of defense. So if things break through, if you're caught in a car and the fire is coming towards you or surrounding you, you have your race suit, but if you have that extra layer of protection, it's a last line of defense. So should something start to burn through your race suit, you have that extra time to get away from the danger before the fire and the heat reach your skin, because the intensity of the heat can cause a burn without it actually being the fire. So it's just like an insurance policy. You're buying yourself extra time to get out of whatever might happen. So one of the things that was important for me was to make sure that we're a certified SFI manufacturer. So the products that we sell that are eligible for SFI certification are the bras, the racerback bra, and then the long sleeve and the legging. Those are the ones that are eligible to be certified by SFI because that's what they require. Some of the venues require that to be worn under the race suit. And then it's also important, and I find this on the industrial side too, a lot of times for industry, the employer is required to provide employees with their flame resistant clothing, but a lot of it can be driven by price. So they might provide something that is just cotton, So they'll do that because cotton doesn't melt, but it'll burn, and it'll burn very quickly. So the employee might feel that they're protected when really they're not, because that cotton is still going to catch on fire, and you're going to have a very limited time frame to be able to escape any type of injury. And when you look at the different ratings and things on like the race suits, there's the entry levels, there's a mid-level, there's an expensive level, and those different levels most of the time have along with it different durations or different exposure points that they can endure before that heat and fire will break through that fabric. So I think it's just important to know the hazard you might be up against, and then look at the product that you're buying and make sure that you've sufficiently protected yourself. Because, even like with your granddaughter, do you expect something like that to happen at that age level? No. But things go wrong, and burns are just one of those things. Like it's like dropping a plate. You can get it back together, but you always see the lines. Like you're always going to have a burn injury, and burn injuries are bad. If you get a severe 3rd and 4th degree burn injury, those are lifelong things that you deal with. There's usually a lot of pain associated with that, especially if you're younger and you're growing and you have all that scarring. So there's just a lot to be considered, when a lot of times we make decisions on price, and
absolutely
what you want to do. It's when you really think about what you're trying to protect, and the what if scenarios. Just want to consider all of those elements.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I can't even remember if it was yesterday or the day before. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about an accident that had happened, and the man was burned 90% of his body. Okay, so I can't even imagine, first of all, how bad that is and will be for him. But it made me think, because I knew we were going to be talking today, it made me think about the fact that, they make things for guys. But guys are just as negligent about protecting themselves, especially if you've got younger kids that are starting in racing, and you may think, oh, quarter midgets, that doesn't really ever happen. It does happen. And then, as you get up farther and farther and farther, as you advance in your career, and what kind of cars you might be driving, or, I always think about the drag racing cars. There's so much flame that you can see before they even start to go down the track. And, you do hear about those kind of accidents. And so we just have to get the word out, Kelly, for one thing, that these items should be at the top of the list of things that you need, not at the bottom. And, it's all about how fast your motor is and your tires and all this, but that should be at the end compared to your safety, your health, etc. And so maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
% body burn and actually survive that is incredible to begin with. But then it really makes you think, like, what is life at that point? Right. It's going to be just ongoing surgeries. And really with burn injuries, the two things that happen rather quickly, you dehydrate because your skin is open. And so you're losing body fluids quickly. And then your risk of infection. And, those are the two things that you have to try to control. And I always think about just all of those things then melted into the skin, right? That you're going to have being scrubbed out at some burn center. But I think really to the point of taking into consideration and being willing to make sure if you're going to participate, I know my husband, I know what he spends when he's upgraded. It doesn't matter what you spend. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. If you're doing something in racing, it doesn't matter what you're upgrading or replacing or fixing. It's a lot of money. And if your enjoyment comes from participating in racing, you want to ensure that you're able to continue to participate. You don't want racing to be what takes you out of the game because you weren't properly protected. Because at the end of the day, if this isn't what you're doing for your livelihood and your job, if you get hurt while racing and you have a burn injury that now prevents you from being able to do what you've always done, beyond your physical, it's the emotional, it's the financial, it's, you know, that a lot of times it's chronic pain, and people are not comfortable being around people who are in pain. So you begin to lose family and friends, people disassociate. I mean, your entire life is changed in that moment. So, and I don't want or like to scare people. I don't like to come from that angle. It's just a matter of being aware of what you're truly involved with. You know, I know drag racing or racing in general on life insurance policies, it's like, that's an exit. Like, you don't get, if you're hurt or killed, your life insurance policy sometimes is not
it's not valid. Yeah, so, for sure.
We need to have an awareness of what it is we're truly doing, you know, not to be a killjoy, because I love
no, and I'm not trying to be a killjoy either, but I just think that typical people in general tend to think nothing's ever going to happen to them. And they, like you said, they look at the, you know, different products and the price points, and they'll go for the middle one. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive. I'll go for the middle one, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be that protected or protected as much as you could be. And really, when you think about it, for a woman to buy a bra today, it's going to last quite a number of years, probably. You know, I mean, compared to some of the things you buy for your race car. And so you think, okay, you know, this is going to last me 2 years, 3 years, let's say. And you take the price and you divide it by that, and you think, oh, that's really not that bad for that product. And so we just have to get people to think about it. And that's what we're trying to do today. We just pray that nothing bad ever happens, but we all have some kind of insurance. We have car insurance, we have life insurance, we have, you know, house insurance. Your products are body insurance in a way, you know, it helps protect you in case something goes wrong. And so I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we could share what you do and get people to think about the things that are important if you're going to be a race car driver, for sure. So are you okay sharing just an approximate cost? Like if they bought, you know, a bra and the long sleeve shirt and the leggings, just share a little bit, because I mean, my gosh, you go to Lululemon and the prices are pretty high, I think. So just, and these are a whole different product. So just share a little bit about that.
So, you know, and that's a very good point, because, you know, just like in our everyday world, if you buy a good bra, when I had my bra boutiques, that's what we would say. You can buy a cheap bra, and then you can have a drawer full of cheap bras that don't fit and that they hurt your back, neck, and shoulders every time you wear them. Or you can invest in a good bra that will do what it's made to do, and you'll forget you even have it on. So our bras, because of my background, you know, I made it and designed it to do what it's supposed to do. So it has a lot of structure to it. The racerback that is SFI approved is $120. And then whether you buy the legging or the long sleeve, those are equal. They're $119 a piece. So a lot of times people will say, like, okay, the bra is more expensive, you know, than the legging, but the bra has a lot more construction. So when you look at a legging or a long sleeve shirt, you know, there's fewer seams, there's fewer, less construction. And there's a little bit more component wise to the bra itself than the other options. But, and then you look at the fabric. So that Carbon X fabric is my experience in my research and looking at fabrics. That Carbon X fabric is the highest cost wise per yard. because of what it does. So again,
Yeah.
I could make things from cotton, but cotton holds moisture. If you have something cotton on and you're exposed to extreme enough heat, it can actually create a steam burn, and cotton will still burn. So, you could do a cotton bra and say, okay, here's a cotton bra for $50, but you're never going to wear it because it's going to be saturated with sweat and it'll stink and it'll be saggy.
Yeah.
It's not the thing you're going to want to have on under a race suit that you can't get to and mess with easily.
Right.
Or you can get this, and the Carbon X is not only lightweight and extremely, it protects from the heat, it protects from fire. Any of the things that might be melting around you are not going to go through that fabric. And then it is moisture wicking, so it keeps you cool and dry in hot situations. So even, we race a lot of times in humid, hot conditions, and then you've got your race suit on and you're in a car, so you're just dying of sweat. But the carbon fabric is moisture wicking, so it actually helps to keep you dry and cool under the race suit. So, and then your odor resistance. So, and the biggest thing is it's non-toxic. There's no chemical in it, so you're not going to be breathing nasty,
smelling all that. Yeah. So I just Googled Victoria's Secret. I haven't been there for a long time, but and so their bras range 35 to 55, and they don't have any of that special material, flame resistant, odor wick, all those things. They have none of it. And so, and there's companies, go to Macy's or somewhere, I'm sure you're going to see that higher pricing. And so when you said 120, I didn't really think that was all that bad for what you're getting.
All in, I mean, if you average it out for a complete base layer suit, you're looking at like $360. But unless because it is knit, it has the flexibility. It's a circular knit, so it has a great rebound to it, so it doesn't stretch out. Unless you were to have an extreme weight gain or extreme weight loss, you're not really going to see a need for replacement because you're not wearing it all day, every day.
Right.
And the big thing with the Carbon X, I will say, what makes it what it is it's a pre-burned fiber. So it does not have the capability to, it takes 3 times the amount of oxygen in the air to create a situation where you could actually get that fabric to hold a flame. So because it is a pre-burned fiber, it's like the flexible version of carbon fiber, right? So
okay.
It's an extremely, we did our own little backyard burning. We took my business card and sewed it inside a pocket of Carbon X fabric and stuck it in a fire that my husband's gauge read 999, and then it just went to over the limit so we knew it was at least 1,000-degree fire, and we held that in there for 6 seconds, and then we brought it out, and it's really kind of cool to see what happens. I call it carbonizing. I don't know that that's a real word. It's my word. So
you can have your own word.
Yeah, it was just, it formed like a hard shell. And when you cracked it open, when we cut it open, the inside of the fabric was still the same color. It did not go through to turn the color on the inside. And my business card is completely intact. And so if paper can make it through that fire of, and again, it was 6 seconds, but on, Carbon X has wonderful videos on their website to show the durability and the strength of their fabric. And the one video I love, they have a side by side, it's a split screen of a torch on their fabric and a torch, and it's burning through every other flame resistant fabric. So while theirs is doing nothing, every other fabric is burning through almost instantly. So they've got a lot of good resources there just to show the quality of their fabric and what it can do.
I figured there were some videos somewhere that would show that, because seeing is believing for sure, and of course testimonials too. Have you had anybody that's purchased the product that's gone through a fire or anything?
No, I've not that anyone has related to me.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't had anyone actually exposed to be able
That's
to have
good.
that type of a testimonial. We get lots of great feedback about the fit and the comfort of it.
Yeah.
I just always pray no one ever ends up in a situation
Right.
where they actually had to put it to the test. But
I agree. But
yeah,
the other side of that, Kelly, too, is the fit and when you're driving, let's say a drag car, 300 miles an hour, they go. The last thing you want to be thinking about is your bra's not comfortable, or and the guys can't relate, but
no,
it's definitely, that's part of it. It's part of the whole picture. It's not just the safety, although that's important, but the fact that you've taken so much care to make sure not only is it safe for the drivers, but it's also comfortable and made of product that's going to last a long time. And so overall, it's the best product out there for women who are racing or women who are working in a factory or a foundry or wherever it might be, that they are required to wear flame resistant. Is it flame resistant or flame? What do you call it?
it is flame resistant. There's
Resistant.
people will say flame retardant. That's kind of
Yeah.
an interchangeable word, but flame resistant is
Okay.
because nothing's truly like fireproof.
Yeah.
Even as good as Carbon X is you'd never want to say anything is fireproof, because there's
Yeah.
always that case that's going to, take it to its limit and break through.
Right.
So it flame resistant. It's just going to help you. Like I
Yeah.
said, it gives you more time. It gives you time to escape the danger without enduring a burn.
And about how many seconds would you say, like, if you're a driver, you're all buckled in, and the car starts on fire, about how many seconds do you know that does it take a driver to get out typically?
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes to get out. Carbon X does have some information related to the integrity of the fabric, so it
Okay.
maintains its protective ability. They've had it up over 10 minutes and it's still maintaining its protectiveness.
Okay.
And that's some information that they make available on their website as well, because which I like about the company, because they're very
Yeah.
very key on making sure people understand what it is and what it'll do. But I haven't seen any. I really haven't looked for any information to show how long someone's
Yeah.
technically
I was
gonna.
just curious. I know when Carson Hocevar he's going to be a cup driver now, but he's been in the truck series. He's from our town, and I've known Carson since he was young and raced quarter midgets. And I know he broke his foot or his ankle last year when he was racing. And one of the things that he had to prove before they would let him get back in with whatever cast or whatever he had on was how quick he could get out of the car. And so that's what made me wonder about that. But yeah,
I'll have to look into that. I'm sure there's something somewhere.
I bet there is. Yeah.
Because I know, like, even on the industrial side, a lot of the way the standards are set up or designed has to do with the amount of time it takes people to respond and react.
Yeah.
And DuPont did a webinar one time that I was on, and they had all of that data broken down as to how long it takes someone to realize there is a danger and that they need to react, how long it takes them to turn and get away from that. They had all of that broken down, and it was quite an interesting webinar that I sat in on. So I'm sure there's information like that on
sure
the side thing too. But very good question.
If I had statistics was a thing back in the day, I love all that kind of stuff. But I love math, and so that all kind of ties into that. But I love all those kinds of facts and that. But I'm sure it's out there if somebody wants to look into it. Or I also had somebody ask me, how fast can your granddaughter get out of her car if she needs to? And I said, I have no idea. Well, have you ever made her do that? And so I don't think they had ever had her do that.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, okay, here's a stopwatch, ready, set, get out, get out. And I think that's also something a little off topic here, but for your company, but I think that's something else that dads, crew chiefs, whoever also need to have their driver practice,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah, because you think,
we want them out as quick as possible.
yeah, you have it all. You click yourself into everything, but in a panic to try to remember how to get out of it is a whole different thing. So if you can make it second nature,
Right.
repeat it enough to make it a habit or a routine, you know what to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Well, Kelly, what's your favorite thing about the business that you are sharing with us today?
It just everywhere it has taken me. Never could I have pictured that this was in the future for me. It was not anything that was ever on my radar. It surprisingly showed up for me, and I chose to take that path. And I just took a left turn from everything I had been doing. And it's just everybody that I meet, everywhere I go, everything I learn. I continue to learn every day different things that impact and what people face. I think that's just it. Like all the situations people work in, all the different things that are being made every day, and jobs that are done every day that like I had no idea. It's just very eye-opening, and I'm a curious person, and I love getting that opportunity to just see what it is people do every day. And okay, now what can I do to help keep you safe?
Right. And you look around. I'm sitting in my office, and you just look around and you take everything that you have or that you buy or that you use for granted. You really kind of do. Who makes the electrical plug power strip that I have to keep it from burning up, or what? It's just all these kinds of things, and we don't think about it until we're exposed to maybe some of it. And it is very interesting, and we should take a little more interest in how things are done, and so that we buy the best that we can afford to buy, and in those things, so that we have a quality of life. And for motorsports and all those other industries, being safe and trying to prevent yourself from getting injured by fire has to be near the top, because I can't even imagine how bad that is to recover from. And so we don't want that to ever happen.
Picture this. You're at the track looking at all the merch trailers. What do you see? Shirts and hats everywhere. And you think, I want more. That's how 4 Left Turns was born. At 4 Left Turns, we create unique products for race fans. Our retail website is 4leftturns.net. And if you're looking to stock your gift shop or merch trailer, we also sell wholesale. 4 Left Turns is a one-stop shop for everything racing. Well, except shirts and hats. We don't do those. Made for race fans, by race fans, 4leftturns.net.
And kind of along those, on a sidebar there, it made me think about a conversation I had not long ago. There's an organization called Cleveland Sews, and she met with me, and we're working on getting a training program together to teach people. She works with them to teach them how to sew, and then we're going to work with them on how to sew my products, to try and get a local, so that I can have my own setup and whatnot. But I asked her, I said, it's always been interesting to me how, even when I had my retail boutiques, how you can get a bra on sale, or a bra that's at the dollar store or whatever for $5 or $10. I said, I don't know how you can make a bra, even if you had clearance priced fabric. I said, how could you ever make it at that price and be a profitable company? And she said to me, because child labor and slave labor exists everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, she said, if, that, she identified some areas here in our own country where there are, it's a lot of this human trafficking that we see, and they are being forced to work and forced to do things, or these products that are made overseas, they do not have the OSHA standards. They don't have safety
No.
standards. They don't have labor laws. They don't have anyone there to tell them that they have rights. And unfortunately, then they get basically paid via food and shelter or whatever it might be. I think just having some awareness as to what it is you're purchasing and who's making that garment, because the more that goes on, it's a travesty when you think about that. But it was eye-opening. He said that to me because I wasn't expecting that to be the answer. So
no, none of us are, if we're not engaged or aware of that as much as we should be. Why would you think about it? But it happens all the time. In fact, it was happening at a meat plant where they had young boys working in the meat plant, and that was in our country. Well, Kelly, what else can you tell us about your company, your products, anything at all that I haven't asked you about?
I just like to, and I guess one of the things we ask a lot is what's wrong and what's missing. So if there are things out there, we're always looking. You mentioned Lululemon. My goal is to be the Lululemon or Patagonia, the comfort style of safety apparel. So, as things that you might notice that aren't what you would like it to be, just, let us know. We work a lot with interns through the fashion design schools to help create and design for us so that we have some thoughts and ideas in line for what's next. But, and we do have some men's garments because we had some guys who really liked the feel of the fabric, and they were like, our underwear isn't comfortable like this. And so we're like, okay, so we do have some guys products too, because we didn't want to leave them out. Because that fabric is really, really awesome. So we do like the fabric. So, but anybody just helping to share, because, I keep saying that the products are only helpful if they're on bodies, and we want you to protect the parts you want to keep.
That's right. Which is all of us.
That's right.
We want to keep all of our parts. For sure.
That's right.
Oh. Well, Kelly, I'll get some information from you when we're done here, and I'll put it in the show notes, and that way people can reach out to you and find you and all that. And so I just appreciate that we finally had a chance to connect, because we've been trying to do this since I think June, maybe or something. And you've been going one way and I was going the other. And so we finally were able to connect today. And I'm so glad, it's one thing to interview someone, but when you can have a chance to talk face to face with somebody you already know and help share their product, that means a lot to me that I'm able to do that. And so I want people to take a good hard look at what you're providing, and if it comes down to price, shame on you. If you've got to protect the ones you love or yourself if you're involved in a dangerous sport. Racing is a dangerous sport. And so we want all of them to check out what you have and reach out to you if they have any questions or suggestions. And I know you're going to be at some trade shows and that, but I know you're easy to get a hold of through texting and that. So we'll put all that in the show notes so they can find you. And then hopefully, they'll look in the magazine and they'll see, we'll put some more things in there too, easier for them to find you. And then
too, Melinda, I think we have a code in that you offer to members too. So we can make sure that is up and visible too. So
I will do that for sure. In fact, I have that laying right here by my planner, so we'll do that too.
Perfect. There you go.
Sounds good. Well, Kelly, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you for taking time today to be on here with me. And hopefully down the road, we'll meet up somewhere and then see each other in person again.
That's right. I hope so too. So it'll be awesome.
Right.
Thanks so much. I've enjoyed chatting with you and seeing you in person, kind of.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk again soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. Subscribe to my show and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you or someone you know would like to be featured in the Women's Motorsports Network News online magazine, this podcast, or Let's Talk Racing Live, my social media show, contact me via Messenger on Facebook at Melinda Russell, or send me an email at womensmotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com.